The mop made a soft sound against the metal floor. Back and forth, back and forth. Sam had been doing this for 3 years now, and he had learned to find peace in the rhythm. The station was quiet at this hour. Most travelers were asleep in their pods or waiting in the upper lounges where the lights were bright and the food was expensive. Sam preferred the lower decks. Down here, the stars looked different through the observation windows, colder somehow, more honest. He stopped mopping for a moment and looked out at the endless black. Somewhere out there were the graves of men he had once called brothers. He was 53 years old. His hair had turned gray during the war, and it never went back. His left knee hurt when the station's climate systems changed pressure. His hands, once steady enough to fire a rifle at 300 meters, now pushed a cleaning cart through empty hallways. This was fine. This was better than fine. This was exactly what he wanted. Sam had been a Marine for 22 years. He had fought in the First Contact War when humanity first met the galaxy and the galaxy decided it did not want them. He had killed. He had watched friends die. He had done things that still woke him up at night, covered in sweat, reaching for a weapon that was not there. When the war ended, he tried to go home, but home did not feel like home anymore. His wife looked at him like he was a stranger. His daughter was afraid of him. The nightmares made him dangerous to be around. So he left. He came to Nexus Station because it was far from Earth and full of aliens who did not know his face or his history. Here he was just the night janitor, nobody special, nobody important, just a man with a mop. He finished the corridor and pushed his cart toward the observation deck. This was his favorite part of the shift. The deck was usually empty at this hour, and he could work in silence while the stars turned slowly outside the windows. But tonight was different. Sam stopped at the entrance and looked at the bench near the window. Someone was lying there. He squinted in the dim light. It was not a human. The figure was small, barely 4 feet tall, with thin limbs and something folded against its back. Wings. Pale, delicate wings like a moth or a butterfly, but torn in places and dull. What? Sam had seen them before. They were refugees, scattered across the galaxy after their died. The Galactic Consortium called them displaced persons, which was a polite way of saying they had no rights, no citizenship, and no protection. Most species treated them like pests. He walked closer, keeping his steps quiet. There was female, he thought. Her skin was pale gray, almost silver, and there were markings on her arms that should have been glowing with soft light. But the glow was barely visible now. Weak, fading. Beside her sat 2 bags. They were old and worn, held together with patches and hope, everything she owned in the galaxy. She was asleep, or maybe she was just too tired to move. Her breathing was shallow, and her hands were pressed against her chest for warmth. The station kept the lower decks cold to save energy. Nobody important came down here, so nobody important complained. Sam stood there for a long moment. He could call security. That was the proper thing to do. Undocumented aliens were supposed to be reported. There were rules about these things, protocols, forms to fill out. But Sam had never been good at following rules when they felt wrong. He looked at the again. She was thin, too thin. The kind of thin that came from not eating for days. Her wings trembled slightly, maybe from cold or maybe from fear. Even in sleep, she looked afraid. Sam thought about his daughter. She was grown now, living somewhere on Earth with a family of her own. She had stopped calling years ago. He did not blame her. He had not been a good father. The war had taken that from him, along with everything else. But he remembered what it felt like to hold her when she was small, to promise that he would keep her safe, to mean it. This was someone's daughter, too. Sam reached into his cart and pulled out his thermos. It was half full of coffee, still warm. He also had a sandwich wrapped in plastic. He had made it himself that morning, nothing special, just bread and meat and cheese. He walked to the bench and set them down beside her bags, quietly, carefully. He did not want to wake her. Then he stepped back and returned to his cart. He had work to do. The floor was not going to clean itself. But he found himself looking back at her as he worked. She had not moved. The coffee and sandwich sat untouched beside her. Maybe she would think they were a trap. Maybe she had learned that kindness always came with a price. Sam understood that feeling. He had felt it himself many times. He finished the observation deck and moved on to the next section. The station was large, and there was always more to clean, more floors to mop, more trash to collect, more evidence of the thousands of beings who pass through this place every day, going somewhere, running from something. When his shift ended, Sam walked back through the observation deck on his way to the maintenance quarters. The bench was empty now. It was gone. But so were the coffee and the sandwich. Sam stood there in the dim light, looking at the empty bench. He did not know if he would ever see her again. He did not know if it mattered. He had done one small thing, and the galaxy had not ended. Maybe that was enough. He turned and walked away, his bad knee aching with each step. Outside the windows, the stars continued their slow turn. Ships came and went. Lives began and ended. And somewhere on this station, a stranger was a little less hungry than she had been before. Sam went to his small room, sat on his small bed, and closed his eyes. For the first time in a long while, he did not dream of war. He dreamed of nothing at all, and that was a gift. The next night Sam found her in the same place, but this time she was awake. He saw her eyes first. They were large and dark, like pools of black water, and they watched him with a mixture of fear and something else, something he could not name. She sat on the bench with her back pressed against the wall and her bags pulled close to her body. Her wings were folded tight, making her look even smaller than she was. Sam stopped his cart a few meters away. He did not want to frighten her. He had learned during the war that scared creatures did unpredictable things. It was true for humans. It was probably true for everyone. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said. His voice was rough from years of not talking much. "I'm just the janitor." They did not move. Her eyes stayed fixed on him like he was a predator, and she was deciding whether to run. "The food last night," Sam continued. "Did you eat it?" A long pause, then slowly she nodded. "Good." Sam leaned against his cart. "Are you hungry now?" Another pause, another small nod. Sam reached into his bag and pulled out a container. He had brought extra tonight, just in case. He walked forward slowly, set the container on the bench a safe distance from her, and stepped back. "It's just rice and vegetables," he said. "Nothing fancy, but it's warm." They looked at the container like it might bite her. Then she looked back at Sam. Her mouth opened and she spoke for the first time. Her voice was soft, like wind through dry leaves. "Why?" It was such a simple question. Sam had been asking himself the same thing all day. Why did he care? Why did it matter? There were millions of refugees in the galaxy. He could not save them all. He could not save anyone. He was just a broken old man with a mop. "Because nobody should be hungry," he said finally, "and nobody should be alone." They stared at him for a long moment. Then something in her face changed. The fear did not leave completely, but it made room for something else. Curiosity, maybe, or hope. She reached out and took the container. Her fingers were long and thin, with an extra joint that made them look strange to human eyes. She opened the lid and looked inside. Then she began to eat. Sam went back to his work. He mopped the floor around the observation deck, cleaned the windows, emptied the trash bins. But he stayed close, and when she finished eating, she spoke again. "My name is—" Sam stopped mopping. "I'm Sam." "Sam," she said his name carefully like she was learning a new word. "You are human." "Last time I checked." "I have heard stories about humans." His wings shifted slightly. "They say you are violent, primitive, that you fight wars for no reason and destroy everything you touch." Sam thought about this. It was not entirely wrong. "We've done some bad things," he admitted, But we've done some good things too, same as everyone, I guess. Looked at him with those dark eyes. You do not seem violent. I used to be. Sam sat down on a nearby bench, giving his knee a rest. I was a soldier, a long time ago. I did things I'm not proud of. And now you clean floors. And now I clean floors. Sam almost smiled. It's better, quieter, nobody gets hurt. Was silent for a moment, then she began to talk. She told him about her. It had been a beautiful place, she said, full of forests that glowed at night and rivers that sang with the voices of ancient creatures. Her people had lived there for thousands of years. They were not warriors. They were artists, musicians, poets. They made things of beauty and shared them with the galaxy. Then the Helix Corporation came. They wanted the minerals beneath the forests. They promised jobs and technology and a better life. But they lied. They dug too deep, too fast. They ignored the warnings from scientists who said the planet was unstable. And one day, the ground simply opened up and swallowed everything. Millions died in minutes. The survivors scattered across the stars, but without there, they had no citizenship, no rights, no place in the great machine of galactic civilization. Had been traveling for 2 years. She had worked odd jobs on stations and ships, always moving toward the outer rim where she heard there was a colony, a place where her people were building a new home. But her money ran out 11 days ago, and she had been trapped on Nexus Station ever since. I sleep here because the security guards do not check the lower decks, she said. I eat from the trash when I can find something. I try to be invisible. Sam listened without interrupting. He had heard stories like this before. During the war, he had seen refugees from a dozen worlds, people who had lost everything and were just trying to survive one more day. What about your family? He asked. Wings drooped. My mother died on my father, she hesitated. My father was a scientist. He tried to warn people about the disaster. He had proof that Helix Corporation knew what would happen, but nobody listened. He died trying to save others. I'm sorry. Thank you, looked out the window at the stars. I do not know why I am telling you this. I have not talked to anyone in a long time. Sam understood. Loneliness did strange things to people. It made them close up like fists. But sometimes, when they found even a small bit of kindness, they opened up all at once. All the words came pouring out because they had been held inside for too long. You can stay here as long as you need, Sam said. But I have a better idea. There's a storage room near the maintenance quarters. It's warm and dry and nobody uses it. You could sleep there instead of out here in the cold. Looked at him with surprise. You would do that, you could get in trouble. Probably, Sam shrugged. But I've been in trouble before. I know how to handle it. He stood up and gestured for her to follow, hesitated for only a moment. Then she gathered her bags and rose from the bench. Her wings caught the light from the stars, and for just a second, Sam saw a faint glow in the markings on her skin. She was still alive, still fighting, and as long as that was true, there was hope. They walked together through the quiet corridors of the station. A broken old soldier and a refugee from a dead world. Two people who had lost everything, finding something new in the darkness between the stars. Neither of them knew where this path would lead. But for the first time in a long while, neither of them was walking alone. 3 weeks passed and something changed on Nexus Station. It was a small change, invisible to most. But Sam noticed it every time he looked in the mirror. He looked less tired. The shadows under his eyes were still there, but they were softer now. The weight on his shoulders felt a little lighter, and sometimes when he was mopping the floors or emptying trash bins, he caught himself humming old songs from Earth, songs he had not thought about in years. Was getting stronger too. The storage room had become her home. Sam had brought her a blanket, a small heater, and some books he found in the station's lost and found. She read them slowly, teaching herself more human words. Her wings were healing. the torn edges growing back with new tissue that caught the light like silk. They had fallen into a routine. Sam worked his night shift and would meet him during his breaks. They would sit in the observation deck and talk, sometimes about small things, the food on the station, the strange habits of different alien species, the way the stars looked different from different parts of the galaxy. But sometimes they talked about bigger things, harder things. One night asked about the war. Sam was quiet for a long time. He stared out at the stars, and his hands gripped the edge of the bench until his knuckles turned white. "It was bad," he said finally, "really bad." "You do not have to tell me." "No, I think I do." Sam took a deep breath. "When humans first went to space, we thought we were special. We thought the galaxy would welcome us, but the consortium did not want us. We were too young, too aggressive, too different. They tried to push us back to our own solar system, and we pushed back." He told her about the battles, the ships that burned in the void, the planets that were bombed into ash. He told her about his squad, the 12 men and women who had become his family, how they fought together, bled together, survived together. And then how they died. It happened on a moon called Tarsus 7. They were sent to rescue civilians from a consortium attack, but it was a trap. The enemy was waiting for them. Sam watched his friends fall one by one. He held his best friend in his arms while the life drained out of him. He was the only one who made it out alive. "I kept asking myself why," Sam said. "Why me? Why did I survive when they didn't? I wasn't better than them. I wasn't stronger or smarter. It should have been me." Listened without speaking. When he was done, she reached out and put her hand on his arm. Her touch was light, almost weightless. "My people have a saying," she said. "A broken wing can still catch the wind." Sam looked at her. "What does that mean?" "It means that damage does not have to be the end. You can still fly, even if you are not whole. You just have to find a different way." Sam thought about this for a long time. He had spent years punishing himself for surviving. He had pushed away everyone who cared about him. He had come to this station to disappear, to become nobody. But maybe that was not the answer. Maybe running away was just another way of dying slowly. "I don't know how to fly anymore," he said quietly. "Then we will learn together." His wings spread slightly, catching the starlight. "I cannot fly either, not yet, but maybe with time we both can." It was a small moment, just two broken people sitting in the dark, but something shifted in Sam's chest. A door that had been closed for years opened just a crack. The next few days were good. Sam helped find work translating for alien travelers who passed through the station. Many species had trouble understanding each other and knew 6 different languages. She was smart and quick, and soon she was earning enough credits to buy her own food. Sam started sleeping better. The nightmares did not stop completely, but they were less frequent now. And when he woke up in the dark, he could remind himself that tomorrow he would see, that there was something to look forward to. But good things on Nexus Station never lasted long. It started with questions. A security guard stopped Sam in the corridor one morning and asked if he had seen any undocumented aliens on the lower decks. Sam said no. The guard looked at him with suspicious eyes but walked away. Then there were more guards. They started patrolling the lower decks more often. They checked storage rooms and maintenance areas. They were looking for something, or someone. Was careful. She stayed hidden during the day and only moved at night when Sam was working. But the station was getting smaller. The walls were closing in. "Maybe I should leave," she said one night. "If they find me, you will get in trouble." "And where will you go?" Sam asked. "You don't have enough credits for a transport. You don't have documents. They'll catch you before you reach the next station." "I don't want you to get hurt because of me." Sam looked at her. Her wings were almost fully healed now. Her skin had regained its soft glow. She was beautiful in a way that was completely different from human beauty. Strange and delicate and strong all at once. I spent 20 years hurting people, he said. I shot them, I blew them up. I did terrible things because someone told me they were enemies, and now I can't remember their faces. But I remember every single person I didn't help, every refugee I walked past, every child crying in the ruins. Those are the faces that keep me awake at night. He stood up and faced her directly. I'm tired of walking past. I'm tired of pretending I don't see. You needed help and I helped you. That's the first good thing I've done in years. I'm not going to stop now just because it got a little dangerous. His eyes filled with something that might have been tears. Her people did cry, but their tears were luminescent, leaving trails of soft light on their cheeks. You are strange, she said, for a human. Yeah, Sam almost smiled. I get that a lot. Outside the window, a patrol ship passed by. Its lights swept across the station like searching eyes. Somewhere on the upper decks, announcements played about security protocols and reporting suspicious activity. The net was closing, but Sam had survived a war. He had walked through fire and come out the other side. He was not going to let a few security guards take away the only good thing he had found in years. He just hoped that when the storm finally came, he would be strong enough to weather it. The man who came to Nexus Station wore a suit that cost more than Sam earned in a year. He was tall and thin, with gray skin and 4 arms, a species called the. They were known for their business skills and their complete lack of conscience. Perfect employees for the Helix Corporation. His name was, and he was looking for. Sam heard about him from the other janitors. Had arrived 3 days ago and immediately started asking questions. He had money, which made people talk. He had connections with station security, which made them look the other way. And he had a list of names. His name was on that list. Sam found her in the storage room that evening. She was sitting on her blanket, staring at her hands. She already knew. They found me, she said. Her voice was flat, empty. I saw his picture on a news feed. He's been hunting survivors for years. Anyone who might have information about the disaster. What kind of information? Shook her head. I don't know. My father was a scientist. He worked for the government studying the planet's stability. He tried to warn everyone about Helix's mining operations. He had evidence that they knew the disaster would happen. But when he died, I thought the evidence died with him. Sam sat down beside her. Do you have anything of his? Documents, files, anything? Just what's in my bags, gestured at the 2 worn bags in the corner. Clothes, a few books, some pictures, nothing important. Sam looked at the bags. Something bothered him about this. If it was hunting survivors, why focus on? There were thousands of survivors scattered across the galaxy. What made her special? Can I look? He asked. Nodded. Sam walked over to the bags and began going through them carefully. Clothes, just as she said. Old books with titles he could not read. Photographs of people with wings and glowing skin, smiling in forests that no longer existed. Then his fingers touched something hard inside the lining of the bag. Wait, Sam felt along the seam. There was something hidden there, sewn into the fabric. He pulled out a small knife from his pocket and carefully cut the stitching. A data drive fell into his palm. It was small, no bigger than his thumbnail, and it glowed faintly with stored energy. Stared at it. I didn't know that was there. I've had that bag since I left home. My father packed it for me before. She stopped, unable to continue. Sam understood. Her father had hidden the evidence in her bag without telling her. He wanted to protect her from the knowledge, but he also wanted to make sure the truth survived, even if he didn't. This is what is looking for, Sam said. Whatever is on this drive, it must be dangerous enough to send a corporate enforcer across the galaxy. We should destroy it. His voice was shaking. If we destroy it, they'll have no reason to come after me. Or we could use it. Sam held up the drive. Your father died trying to get this information out. Maybe we should finish what he started. Before could respond, there was a sound in the corridor. Footsteps, heavy and deliberate, coming closer. Sam put the drive in his pocket and pushed behind some storage crates. "Stay hidden, don't move, don't make a sound." He picked up a metal pipe from the floor and waited. The door opened and walked in. He was even taller than Sam expected, nearly 7 feet, with 4 arms that ended in sharp claws. Behind him were 2 station security guards. They had been bought. The janitor's voice was smooth like oil. "I wondered who was helping the little refugee. I should have known it would be a human. Your species has such a weakness for broken things." "Get out of here," Sam said. "This is a restricted area." Laughed, it was an ugly sound. "Please, do you know who I am? I could buy this entire station if I wanted to. Now step aside, I know she's here." Sam did not move. "I don't know what you're talking about." The female, daughter of the scientist, took a step closer. "Her father stole something from my employers, property that belongs to Helix Corporation. I've spent 2 years tracking it down, and now I find it's been hiding in the bags of a frightened little refugee all along. There's nothing here but cleaning supplies." Smiled, showing rows of needle-like teeth. "Human. I have killed 17 people in my search for that data. Some of them begged, some of them cried, some of them tried to fight. None of them succeeded." He spread all 4 arms wide. "Do you really want to die for an alien you barely know?" Sam thought about his squad, the 12 faces that haunted his dreams. He thought about all the times he had failed to protect people, all the times he had walked away when he should have stayed. "Yeah," he said, "I really do." Attacked first. He was fast, faster than anything that big should be. His claws swept through the air like blades. Sam dodged the first strike and swung the pipe its head. It connected with a satisfying crack, but had 4 arms. While Sam was focused on the first 2, the others grabbed him and threw him across the room. Sam hit the wall hard and felt something crack in his ribs. The security guards moved toward the crates where was hiding. Sam pushed himself up, ignoring the pain, and charged at them. He was old and broken, but he had been trained to fight when there was no hope left. The guards were not expecting that. He took down the first one with a punch to the throat. The second one drew a weapon, but Sam was faster. He grabbed the guard's arm, twisted, and the weapon went off into the ceiling. Then was on him again. Claws raked across Sam's back, drawing blood. Sam spun and drove his elbow into his chest. The alien grunted but did not fall. They fought in the small space, knocking over crates and supplies. Sam was bleeding from a dozen wounds. His vision was starting to blur, but he kept fighting. Because behind those crates was a scared young woman who had already lost everything, and he was not going to let her lose her life too. Finally, Sam found an opening. He grabbed a heavy container and swung it with all his remaining strength. It hit in the head and the alien collapsed. Sam stood over him, breathing hard. Blood dripped from his wounds onto the metal floor. The 2 guards were unconscious, was alive but not moving. Then his legs gave out and Sam fell. Rushed out from behind the crates, she knelt beside him, her wings spreading with alarm. "Sam, Sam, stay with me." His vision was going dark, but he managed to pull the data drive from his pocket and press it into her hand. "Broadcast it," he whispered. "Tell everyone, don't let them win." Then the darkness took him, and he knew nothing more, had never run so fast in her life. Her wings were not strong enough to fly yet, but they helped her move quickly through the corridors of Nexus Station. The data drive was clutched in her hand like a lifeline. Behind her, she could hear alarms beginning to sound. She had called for medical help before she left Sam. She could not carry him and she could not stay. Would wake up eventually and more guards would come. The only way to save Sam, the only way to save herself, was to finish what her father had started. The communications center was on the upper deck. It was a public area, filled with screens and terminals where travelers could send messages across the galaxy. Had learned about it during her weeks on the station. She knew that if she could get to one of those terminals, She could broadcast to every open channel in the sector. The guards were looking for her. She could see them at the intersections, checking faces, asking questions, but was small and her people were good at being invisible. She moved through the crowds of travelers, keeping her head down, her wings pressed flat against her back. When she reached the communications center, her heart was pounding so hard she thought it might break through her chest. The room was filled with beings from 100 different worlds. None of them paid attention to the small woman who walked to an empty terminal in the corner. Her hands were shaking as she inserted the data drive. The terminal beeped and asked for authorization. Did not have authorization, but her father had taught her a few things about computers before he died. She was not a hacker, but she knew how to find back doors in old systems. It took her 3 minutes to break through the security. 3 minutes that felt like 3 years. At any moment, she expected to feel a hand on her shoulder, to hear an oily voice behind her. But no one came. The files on the data drive began to load. Saw her father's name at the top of the first document. She saw charts and graphs and scientific data. She saw internal memos from Helix Corporation, stamped with the seal of their board of directors. They had known. They had known for months before the disaster that the mining operations would destabilize the planet. They had calculated the cost of stopping versus the cost of continuing. They had decided that the lives of the people were worth less than the minerals beneath their homes. And they had let it happen. Felt tears running down her face, luminescent trails that glowed on her cheeks. Her father had found this evidence. He had tried to share it, and they had silenced him. They had killed him, along with millions of others, and then they had spent years hunting down anyone who might remember the truth. But the truth was hard to kill. Set the terminal to broadcast on all open frequencies, emergency channels, news feeds, public networks, everything. Then she pressed the button and let her father's voice speak at last. The effect was immediate. Screens across the station began to flicker. The broadcasts interrupted normal programming. Beings stopped what they were doing and stared at the evidence appearing before their eyes. Watched as the truth spread like fire through dry grass. Within hours, the story was everywhere. News agencies across the galaxy picked it up. Politicians demanded investigations. Protesters gathered outside Helix Corporation offices on a dozen worlds. The company's stock price collapsed. Their executives went into hiding. The Galactic Consortium, embarrassed by the exposure, was forced to act. They announced that they would be granted full refugee status and legal protection. They promised reparations and assistance in building a new colony. It was not enough. It would never be enough to undo what had been done. But it was a start. Was arrested, of course. But by then, everyone knew her face. She was not just a refugee anymore. She was a symbol, the small woman with torn wings who had brought down a corporation, the daughter who had finished her father's work. The charges against her were dropped within a day. The charges against were not. And Sam woke up in the station's medical bay. The first thing he saw was white. White ceiling, white lights, white sheets on the bed where he lay. For a moment he thought he was dead, but then the pain hit him and he knew he was very much alive. "You're awake." Sam turned his head, was sitting beside his bed. Her wings were fully spread and they glowed with soft, beautiful light. She looked different, stronger, more alive than he had ever seen her. "What happened?" His voice was rough, barely a whisper. "You saved my life," reached out and took his hand, "and then I saved everyone else's." She told him everything, the broadcast, the response, the changes that were rippling across the galaxy because of a small data drive hidden in an old bag. Sam listened without speaking. It was hard to believe. It was impossible to believe. But when he looked at its face, he knew it was true. "My people have created a new saying," said. "They made it just for humans." "What is it?" "They walk through fire to carry strangers home." Sam felt something in his chest, something warm and strange. He had not felt anything like it in years. It took him a moment to recognize it. It was pride. Not pride in himself, pride in what they had done together, pride in the fact that, for once, the good guys had won. "What happens now?" he asked. "I'm going to the outer rim," squeezed his hand. "The colony, they need help building it. Scientists, teachers, builders. My people are finally going to have a home again." "That's good." Sam tried to smile, but it hurt his face. "You should go, you've earned it." Looked at him with those deep, dark eyes. "Come with me." Sam blinked. "What?" "Come with me to the colony. We need people like you. People who know how to build things, how to fix things, how to protect people." She paused. "And I don't want to go alone." Sam thought about his life on Nexus Station. The empty room, the endless floors, the years stretching ahead of him with nothing but ghosts and regret for company. Then he thought about her wings catching the starlight, about the way she had looked at him when he was just a janitor who left her a sandwich. "I don't know anything about building colonies," he said. "You'll learn," smiled. It was the first time he had seen her smile. It transformed her whole face. "A broken wing can still catch the wind, remember." Sam laughed. It hurt his ribs, but he did not care. "Okay," he said. "Okay, let's go catch the wind." 3 weeks later, a transport ship left Nexus Station heading for the outer rim. On board were supplies, volunteers, and 2 passengers who sat together by a window, watching the stars go by. She had slept beside her bags, alone and forgotten. He had pushed a mop through empty hallways, trying to disappear. Neither of them had expected to find each other. Neither of them had expected to find hope. But that was the thing about the galaxy. It was vast and cold and often cruel. But sometimes in the darkest places you found light. And sometimes when you thought you had lost everything, you found something new. Sam and did not know what the future held. They did not know if the colony would succeed or if the peace would last. They only knew that they were not alone anymore. And for now, that was enough.